Product universe here. President Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, blasted the Democrats' hypocrisy. She totally stunned the reporters in the press briefing room.
Caroline, two questions on trade. First, as a part of these negotiations, is it possible for countries to lower their tariffs below that 10% bare minimum that's been set?
Again, I'll leave that to the president to make those determinations, but I can tell you that 10% universal baseline will go into effect as these negotiations are ongoing.
Got it. And then what is your thinking just as far as low labor cost countries? Like if you've got a country like Vietnam that wants to negotiate, but obviously they have some advantages in terms of trade, in terms of the people there are not paid as much as American citizens. What is kind of the thinking? Can they still achieve a good kind of trade outcome with the United States?
Well, again, you're right to point out that different countries have different labor markets. They have different skills, if you will, different resources, and the president is going to take all of that into account. His team will take all of that into account when they're negotiating these deals. I do just want to point out one thing, that the president, everybody in Washington, whether they want to admit it or not, knows that this president is right when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to trade. In fact, Democrats have long said that the United States of America has been ripped off by the countries around the world. They just don't want to admit it now because it's President Trump who is saying that. In June of 1996, Nancy Pelosi spoke on the House floor. She urged her colleagues at the time to fight against the status quo trade policies that had contributed to America's trade deficit with China. In fact, Nancy Pelosi said, "How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit? How many jobs have to be lost for the American workers? How much dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, 'I will not endorse the status quo'?" Those are the words of Nancy Pelosi in 1996. Well, President Trump is finally answering her call 27 years later. Nancy Pelosi can thank President Trump today for the 104% retaliatory tariff that will be going into effect on China. In 2007, Chuck Schumer spoke of our nation's crippling trade deficit, saying, "These are the kinds of records the American people don't want us to be breaking. The administration needs to move beyond words, take action now to reverse a trend that threatens our prospects for future economic growth." And Chuck Schumer said that in 2007. Finally, in 2025, President Trump is taking action. Recently defeated Democrat Sherrod Brown said on deficits in 2012 that our deficit then at China had reached an all-time high, and it was on pace to recede last year's record. The trade deficit had cost American workers millions of jobs at the time. These are the words of Democrats years ago. It is about time America finally has a president who is taking action to restore those millions of jobs back to the United States of America, to boost our manufacturing industry. He's doing what's right for the American people. It will take a lot of labor. It will take a lot of effort. But that's exactly what the American people elected this president to do. He will be talking about our energy agenda at 3 o'clock today over in the East Room, as you all know. He will be signing a bill to unleash the might of our beautiful, clean coal industry in this country, which is a reliable energy source also for AI. There's a great story in Bloomberg today, actually, about the executive order that will be signed later. So we'll see you all there. I'll let the president speak more. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys.
Karoline Leavitt totally blasted the Democrats' hypocrisy. Even the guy that asked her the question was left totally stunned by what she said about trade deficits. Trade deficits which President Trump is trying to handle right now with the use of tariffs to get other countries who have been taking advantage of us to the table by putting overwhelming reciprocal tariffs on them to get them to call the White House up so that they can negotiate a new tailor-made trade deal on a country-by-country basis. And the countries who do not respond will not get the tariffs taken off of them. But the countries who do respond and want to negotiate will get the tariffs lowered and put down to a 10% broad-based tariff. It is essential that President Trump fixes the trade deficits, as the United States is trillions in debt and it is growing day after day. The debt clock is ticking and ticking and will eventually lead to a financial and economic Armageddon, the likes of which we've never seen before. So it is utterly important that we fix these trade deficits, and the tariffs are the greatest tool in the toolbox to get these countries to the table. The countries who have been ripping us off and taking advantage of us, friend and foe alike. And of course, the Democrats totally oppose President Trump's actions right now, and his tariffs. They despise his willingness to fix America's trade deficits, when at one point the Democrats also wanted to fix America's trade deficits and wanted to do the same exact thing with tariffs that President Trump is doing now. A true hypocrisy is afoot. The most vehement of critics of President Trump's tariffs, such as Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, at one point in time said the same exact things that President Trump would say about tariffs. That using tariffs to make it reciprocal to what countries are giving to us is fair, as countries are ripping us off with much higher tariffs on us than we have on them, and how they have all of our manufacturing overseas in foreign countries, and how we have large trade deficits now because they take advantage of us and we don't take advantage of them. Karoline Leavitt brilliantly exposed this hypocrisy straight to the media's faces in an awesome moment. She stunned everyone in that room and totally stunned the man who asked her that question. This deserves to be shared because this is an unbelievable moment where Karoline Leavitt called out the Democrats' hypocrisy straight to the American people in the press briefing room for all to see, exposing them for being the two-bit political hacks that they are, showing the American people that President Trump is doing the right thing, and that all this opposition to his tariffs and agenda is simply manufactured by the Democrats because they oppose everything he does and will take the stance that is the direct opposite of what President Trump's stance is. Everything the Democrats do is the opposite of what President Trump does. That is what motivates them, not doing the right thing. But that's just my 2 cents, and you are entitled to your 2 cents. If you want, share your opinion in the comments below, as all viewpoints are welcome. If you enjoy this informational and educational video, then give the video a like and turn on my channel notifications so that you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Thanks for watching, God bless you, and God bless America.